Reviews and Boxing. I am your host, Raider Live. Thank you again for joining us for another week of boxing news and insights from our experts. Let's get right to our experts right away. Our first expert is going to tell us something about LeBron James, I'm sure. He is from the mean streets of Minneapolis, the one and only Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, how you doing?
So don't worry, Lakers fans. We're on a little slump right now, but let me tell you, this is going to be the test to see who makes the team next year. The way we got rid of all them guys to let them test free agency and brought in some new guys, that is what's going on right now. Laker Nation, do not fear. We got this.
Do they ever fear? I mean, there's
no.
As Patriots fans, it seems like. Oh, we're always there.
Done with you.
Oh, right away, huh? All right, no second host.
This.
What's that?
Too early for this.
It's too early for this, that's for sure. All right, our second host comes from the mean streets of Bloomington, Minnesota. He is the one, the only courts in session for Judge Jimmy James. Judge, how you doing?
Good, yeah. Don't worry, Minnesota Timberwolves fans. We're still as crappy as we always have been and are on pace to get a second first-round draft pick, probably the number one overall again, so why not? Let's load it up. Coach change ain't going to help us. Woo! Go Wolves!
You had to bring that up. I had just gotten over the fact that I bet the Wolves plus 10 in that game, and they lost by, 50? It was unbelievable. That was the first and last time I ever bet on the Wolves. It'll never happen again.
I expect nothing less, man.
That's true. All right, big boxing this week. We got Brews and News, we got Brews and Reviews, and Brews and Previews. Loaded up show. You boys ready to get into it?
Ring that bell.
Fine. I'm ringing the bell. All right, Brews and News. First thing we do, of course, even though Judge already jumped to it, is the first thing we do is pop a beer. So, gentlemen, except for James, because he's already popped his. Cheers.
I'll drink to that. Cup right, Filthy Rich.
Owes him another coat.
Starting off the show on a
12-pack here before the end of the night.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right, just two bits of news this week because we got a lot of reviews and previews to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about, Judge, I want to throw it to you right away. Tank Davis says his next fight is not going to be at 130 or at 135. So that begs the question, is he going to actually try to go down in weight? That's tough for a guy that never seems to make weight. Or is he going to move up and fight guys that really there's no money moving up higher than 135? So what's he going to do? What's he trying to say? He says his next guy will be a world champion, too. His next fight's a world champion, not at 131 or 135. What do you think, Judge?
This is super crazy to me. I don't understand why all right, let me touch on something. So this doesn't make much sense to me, right? So he just knocked out Leo Santa Cruz. It's obviously his toughest opponent by far that he's faced, and he did it. I thought it was he not at 130?
It was 130.
It was 130, right?
He had trouble getting to that weight, if I remember.
Yeah, he has been having trouble getting to weight forever, man. Too much in and out or something. I don't know. But either way.
Well, are we talking about Big Baby Miller or are we talking about Tank Davis?
Oh, no. Wrong in and out. Yeah, so, I mean, so I can get it. So 130, I understand. I can more understand the 130 because, either way, let me just do this. I'm going to run through some names, right? So he says he's not going to fight at 130 or 135, right? So 130, you've got Berchelt, Valdez, and Shakur Stevenson, right? Those are the big names. You can probably pop a Herring in there, Tevin Farmer, Jojo Diaz, right? 135.
I wouldn't throw Jojo Diaz in there. But
I'm throwing him in there anyway. Still,
we were done with him. Oops,
I'm done with him, but he's still a name.
I owe Richie a coach.
So either way, so then say he doesn't want to do 135. You jump to 135, you've got Lopez, Loma, Garcia, and Devin Haney. I don't know what you smoking where you don't think that those are going to be money fights. Any of those is a money fight for you, right? So, okay, so let's say if he jumps up to 140, who's he going to fight there? Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, Jose Zapata. What do you got? Victor Postal, Prograis, and Mario Barrios. None of those sound better than the ones at 130 or 135, right? So then you drop down. If he's talking about dropping down to 126, which I still don't know how the hell he's going to make weight that way, he's got Gary Russell Jr., Zucan, Emmanuel Navarrete, Josh Warrington, Laura, Frampton Neymar, Galahad. So if he's saying that his next fight isn't at 130 or 135, and it's going to be against a champion, it's either there's only 3 people that it could be against. It's either Gary Russell Jr. at 126 or Josh Taylor or Jose Ramirez at 140. Like, I don't know. I don't see him fighting Navarrete or Zucan. I don't know, man. This is just weird. This is just, I don't know. Obviously, I'm all over the place a little bit here, but I just don't understand how he wouldn't want to fight. Why he wouldn't want to go to 135 after he just dropped Santa Cruz and fight one of those 4 at 135 and not say like that's where you make your money for the next 4 years. But I don't know. I think it's crazy. I want to hear what Rich thinks about this. But
well, I'm going to throw to Rich in a minute here, but is Gary Russell Jr. only fights once a year anyway? Is that going to be his big fight against Tank Davis? I mean, does he have 3 fights in the last 4 years? I think
that could be it, but that's the only. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that would be it, but I don't. There's other people that I would watch before him fighting Russell Jr.
Well, I'm going to throw it to Rich here in a second because I want to ask you, Rich, does this sound, this is what it kind of sounds like to me when I listen to James break down the 130, 135, and then break down the 140 and the 126, is he could dominate either the 126 or 140. He could be the name there. There'd be no one to challenge him. And maybe he thinks the money is just being the god that can't be beaten at that level. There are people at 130, 135 that can definitely, there's some L's on his card at those weights. So is he more afraid of getting that L and he just wants to dominate a division? Or, because I don't see where the big money fights would be at 126 or 140.
Yeah, so I think he's tricked both of you. He ain't tricking me though, boys. He's going to pull a Canelo. Remember what Canelo did with Kovalev? What Canelo did with Julio Cesar Chavez?
What?
He's going to fight
146?
He's going to fight at it. Yes, a catch weight. He's going to find a champion to fight at a weight that he can't make. Remember it was the undercard on the Conor McGregor Mayweather. I think he missed weight by 2 pounds. It was at 130, he weighed in at 132. He got booed after he won the fight and looked at the crowd like in disgust, like it's the crowd's fault. My guess is he doesn't know where he's going to weigh. So he's going to come up with some number and find a catch weight with, what do you say, a champion? Mm-hmm. There's a belt called the Diamond Spaceship Belt of America, of the Americas. He can fight for that belt. We talked about this several episodes ago for you new viewers. Judge Jimmy James mentioned that there was 1,600 belts across the world. This dude can fight for any one of those 1,600 belts at a catch weight. He has duped you all, but he ain't duping me, boys. I will drink to that.
All right, so you're saying he's going to move up to fight a 146 fighter at a catch weight at like 142?
Well, I'm not saying 146. It could be at 132. It could be at 136. It could be at 137 and a half. Even Canelo, I think the fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was at a half. It was like 167 and a half or something. It was a weird weight. That's all he has to do to fulfill his commitment. Make sure that there's a clause in there. Go ahead.
To be fair, James.
Mute me.
No, I'm not. I'm going to agree
Okay.
with you. I said, to be fair, he did say he was fighting a world champion. He didn't say he was fighting for a belt. So it could be something like that where he's not actually fighting for a title, but he's fighting a world champion. I don't think he said he's fighting for a belt. I think he just said he's fighting a world champion. So Rich may be onto something.
And I don't think it's a former champion. I think it's going to be someone
current world champion, but he didn't say he was fighting for a title.
Right. I like the sanctioning bodies will have to sanction that fight. And usually, I shouldn't say usually, but I would think in most cases, if you're not fighting at 160, you don't give up your belt at 160. So if he's fighting at 132 and a half against a guy who's normally fights at 135, but comes down to 132 and a half, that champion gets to sit on that belt.
Right.
At least it might be in the contract, or if the WBZ or Q or whatever letters you want to put together, if they say, yes, it is for the belt, then it's for the belt. But yeah, he probably will just fight a champion. There's probably some talks with someone going on right now to fight at a catch weight.
So he's pulling the old coming to America. Where's the spoon? Aha. Aha, he was a world champion. Aha, didn't say I was fighting for a belt. Aha, he's pulling one of them.
I've never seen Coming to America.
All right, hold on one
Thank
second. We
you.
got our first mute of the game. All right there. If you haven't seen I know he's seen Coming to America. He has to have seen Coming to America. Everyone's seen it.
That's it. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point.
Yeah,
I did not did not see that he's a world champion.
Yeah, I didn't read between the lines like Filthy Rich did. Since he read between the lines, I'll unmute him here shortly. There we go. All right, moving on. Yeah. Interesting to see. I'm actually now hearing that. I'm gonna bet that Rich is right on that. But you know how well I do at my bets. So,
Hey, I think we cost someone their mortgage last week, so don't worry about the betting tonight.
oh man, I hope they were living in a very crappy house.
Bet the shed.
Yeah. All right, second bit of news we want to move on to. Teofimo Lopez purse bid was won by Triller for $6 million. It was bid on, I think by ESPN bid on it, and I can't remember who the other one was. Was it Showtime bid on it too, or I don't remember who bid on it.
Zone.
Zone, and they bid like 2 million and like 3 million, and Triller got it for 6 million, fighting some guy I don't really know. I'm assuming you guys know him. I don't really know him. Rich, why don't you tell us a little bit about this purse bid and this fight that Lopez is going to do on Triller?
So this is news that's breaking over the last day or so.
You want me to hit the breaking news button, or it's already broken?
It's been broken and shattered at this point. We're about to just sweep it up and throw it away. So, Lopez made some comments during last week's Berchelt Valdez fight on ESPN, claiming if Top Rank or if Bob Arum specifically doesn't get him the money, he's gonna test, free agency. It's not really free agency, but he's gonna test the market. He's worked hard to get to where he's at, and he only wants big money fights.
Who said that?
Lopez. Teofimo Lopez said that. I believe in so many words. I might be paraphrasing here. I don't have quotes in front of me. But it's also sounding like, I don't know, he's worked hard. I don't know how. He's under contract with Top Rank for, I believe, 3.5 more years. I know Timothy Bradley mentioned something about, Top Rank has gotten you this far. You need to show your loyalty and stick with them. In so many words. Again, I'm paraphrasing on this. Now, to get to this bidding, basically, when Teofimo Lopez's numbers weren't there and his to fight his opponent, this goes to a purse bid, and his opponent is the mandatory, so they have to agree to the dollars involved in this. And when I believe it's Top Rank or ESPN or whoever couldn't reach those numbers, the fight goes to a purse bid where biggest network gets, whoever shells out the most money gets to have.
Must have been a
fight.
Secret bid too, I imagine.
Probably. I'm not quite sure how the bidding works, but Arum and Top Rank, who Lopez has been with basically his entire career, bid $2 million. Eddie Hearn, who's with Matchroom Boxing and is basically under contract with the DAZN streaming app, bid $3 million. Out of the blue, Triller bids $6 million for this fight. And if you're like Teo's team, you take the money, and Triller won the rights to this fight. I should I keep going here? Do you want to jump in, James?
Here's my question to you.
Yeah.
How is Triller going to make $6 million on this fight?
And that is my question to Triller, and that is my question to James. If they're gonna charge $50 for this and hope that enough people buy this pay-per-view, I don't know how they make. I don't think the fight's gonna make $6 million. I think they made a lot of money from Tyson Jones, and now they have money to throw away, and they bid on this fight. And
they bid way too much, because if this fight was on normal pay or regular ESPN, it might be a fight that I forgot to turn into and just have to watch the highlights of. I mean, Lopez.
This is not. Yeah, this is
Kambosos
not.
or whatever it is.
This is not Lopez Loma 2.
No, it's
that
not.
would probably be worth $6 million.
Yeah, I don't.
But this is Lopez and you roll the
Kambosos
crickets.
or, I don't know. What
There you go. I don't know if this does $6 million.
James, your thoughts?
Well, you guys are like, I mean, so I understand the points that everyone's making, right? And you guys say that this is just way too much money to bid for this. But I'll tell you right now, I thought that Tyson Roy Jones thing was going to be a joke, that it was just going to be that was just going to be dumb. Like the presentation was going to be dumb. Like it was just going to be boring and not worth watching. I'm pretty sure that I get to watch a concert, not only to have way better color commentary than I've seen in a long time for this stuff, especially for the casual boxing fan, and whatever they have on the undercard will also draw people in. So I don't think Triller was crazy with this. I mean, they have somebody that has 4 belts at one division. Obviously, you know, most people aren't going to care about that, but all these people know is that Loma was number 1 forever. Lopez beat the number 1 boxer in the world at that point and knocked him off his high horse. People are going to want to watch him, just like I want to watch Loma, right? So,
are you going to spend $50 on it?
I mean, maybe if Snoop Dogg is back, if Snoop Dogg is back to announcing this, and they've got who was the other guy, the other main guy, the main announcer? I can't remember his name either.
Oh, Morrow.
Yeah, if
Mauro
they got
Ronaldo's
him,
usually with Showtime though.
well, guess what? They just paid $6 million for this. I'm sure they can get him to come over. He probably had a good old time. Who knows how much weed everyone's gonna smoke in that place? Plus, I don't know, man. Like it was just more entertaining. I wasn't watching commercials in between anything. It was just a concert. It's like I got to listen to music in between rounds or boxing, and none of this. I don't know. Just I don't need another Cialis commercial or, oh, you gotta get this rotisserie chicken spinner. Like I don't care about this. Don't try to sell me on.
Hey, don't knock that chicken spinner. I love that thing.
Fair enough, but yeah,
man.
I mean, I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy that Hearn came in and swiped Arum at almost doubled his little deal. I think this kind of speaks to Arum and his negotiating abilities. I think he's getting too old.
Well, here's where I think you guys are coming from. I think Rich is saying this is just too much to spend for this kind of fight. You should save the money to spend on a better fight. You know, maybe a bigger name, with both guys being a big name. I think James is saying this is more like just advertising for Triller again. They're spending money to make money in the future. You know, saying, look how good we are. We're going to get, you know, the next big thing in our eyes, Teofimo Lopez, on, even if he's fighting a tin can or a sparring session for the most part. You know, spending money to make money. I can see both sides of it. I just think if you're going to spend $6 million that 2 of the big names are only going to spend $2 and $3 million on, you better do well, because this could break you too. I mean, it's a big risk. I mean, they have Holyfield Tyson coming up too, so maybe they use it to promote Holyfield Tyson. And
I was going to mention that they don't have a date for this fight yet. I believe that the YouTuber is fighting the Ben whoever. Now, if that is the undercard, and they have something else on the undercard, just like you said, Tyson Holyfield 3. If they put all that stuff together, they're gonna do fine. I don't know if maybe Tyson has an exclusive deal with Triller, so people will tune in just for Tyson. I know Snoop is an investor with Triller, so they probably told him, you need to be here if you want to see the stocks in this company skyrocket. So that being said, they probably could do the two of, I don't know how the purse split is going to be, but if Lopez is looking for a $6 million payday, they're going to have to generate $10 million, or, you know, and it is possible they can do it.
The split is 65-35.
But then you still have to pay undercards, and we don't know if this is a main event.
It's going to have to probably do.
I'm saying that purse bid was 65-35, so he's getting $4 million, the other guy's getting $2 million.
Right. I think Rich is saying they're going to have to do $10 million in business to break even off of.
You have to pay the undercard,
and you got to pay the undercard. You got to pay all the production costs and everything like that.
Well, we don't know if they're the
more
main
money.
event. That hasn't. Nothing's been set. They could be. They might not. They could be on the
Sure.
undercard of Holyfield. Whatever, man. They could be. That could be the undercard. We don't know that. But I'm just telling you. Just asked what the split was. It's 65-35. So
That's
he's
fair.
guaranteed 4, and he's guaranteed, and Kambosos is guaranteed 2 mil for whatever else. I don't know if anything else was locked into it because they didn't say anything else about it. But that's the split.
It's fair. I mean, it just seems
with
like a lot of
Raider.
money to spend on that fight that may last 3 rounds.
I'm with
It
Raider
doesn't
on this
matter.
one.
Was that?
Doesn't matter.
Almost right.
All they had were 3-round fights in the Triller anyway.
Well, they went 10 with the Tyson.
Just
Didn't
mute
they?
him. Just mute him.
No, they didn't go 10 with Tyson. What
I thought they went
what
10
show are you
2-minute rounds,
watching,
didn't
man?
they? Yeah, it was
No.
10 2-minute rounds, or was it 8 2-minute rounds?
Go ahead and mute me.
No, what was it? The Tyson fight. Was it 10 2-minute rounds, or was it 8 2-minute rounds?
I think it's next
It
time.
was a
next
draw, and Roy Jones doesn't
Yeah,
do
it was a-
draws. He wears draws.
It was a draw. I was a draw. I almost had to get dough myself on that. All right, that's it for the news this week. Let's move on to brews and reviews because we got a lot of fun review fights to talk about this week. So let's hit that button. All right, let's talk about the least fun one to start because, who cares about it? But Adrian Broner made his return in a fight that I watched, and I thought Broner lost that fight. I still think he lost that fight. And Broner won on the judges. He was not very impressive at all against Santiago. Rich, I'm going to throw it to you. What did you see about Billions there that impressed you, or lack of that didn't impress you?
Well, I'm going to rewind a little bit. I want to start because we're not going to really cover it, but Robert Easter beat Ryan Martin. A lot of punches. That could have been the main event. There was a lot of punches in this fight. Easter won. I thought, not all 10-9 rounds are scored the same. Everyone had Easter winning basically by a landslide, but it was closer than what the scorecard said. Even the punches landed and all that stuff. Robert Easter had the edge, and it was pretty noticeable, but it was still a really good fight. Them guys were hitting each other hard. There was no defense. I don't know how else to put it, but I do want to touch on that first. Otto Wallin fought Dominic Brazil, and the line of the entire night was oh God, here I am choking again. But the Steve Farhood, when asked about his scorecard, said Otto Wallin is dominating Brazil so bad he may as well dominate Peru and Bolivia while he's at it. Boom, boom. There you go. Now,
all those South American countries aren't Brazil, just like all those countries aren't Russia. Just so you know.
Yeah, but he said you're dominating Brazil. You may as well dominate
I know.
Bolivia and
Peru.
Peru.
The Russia.
That was you, and start doing yourself. Watch
I
your
did.
language.
I didn't even realize.
Watch your language on my show. Mute yourself. All right. Giovanni Santiago and Adrian Broner. The internet loved this one because everyone had Santiago winning this fight. 4th round, there was punches after the bell, which was pretty exciting. Santiago got docked a point going into the 5th round before anything happened. Security jumped in the ring to make sure it didn't get out of hand. Look, I thought Broner won this fight. I think the entire internet, including Raider Live, thought Santiago won, and it looks like Jimmy James thinks Santiago won. The fight was close. I thought Broner controlled most of the fight. I thought a lot of the rounds were very close. I think Santiago actually landed more punches.
A lot.
Like over 100. I think he had like over 200 punches landed compared to Broner's 98 or something like that. But I still thought Broner controlled almost the entire fight. I know Farhood had Santiago winning, and Broner had some words for him, which I won't repeat on the air. I'm not trying to get doed. Broner needs to get over that. Just because someone scores it differently doesn't make it wrong. It was a close fight. I thought Broner edged it, and I'm in the minority on that one.
Yeah, you and Adelaide Bird are the only ones I think that think Broner won that one.
No, Broner won. Broner said he won.
Oh, well, Broner said he won. I mean, now maybe he can buy the supersized meal at Subway with his more than $13 he has to his account. James, I know you didn't see it that way, but I'll let you comment on that real fast, and then also I'm going to ask you what's next for Adrian Broner after that lackluster performance that I felt was a lackluster performance.
That sums it up. Lackluster, man. I did not see him. He didn't look good. He didn't look like he won that fight to me. Close, of course it was close because he was fighting somebody that was not even like he should have just. If Broner was the real deal, he should have dominated that fight. I don't believe he dominated that fight. I think that was a poor showing by Broner, but whatever. I mean, sit there and argue that all day, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to be a benefit for him winning that fight anyway. But what I want to touch on, because you asked me what's next for Broner, is the fact that this fight was signed up at 140 pounds. The day before the weigh-in, they had to change the contract to make it so the fight was at 147. Seriously, dude. Seriously, dude.
Weight. You can't do it.
Like, come on. You think you're a professional and you do stuff like that in your first fight back after you agreed upon it for that long? That speaks volumes to me. But so we're talking about what's next. Obviously, he's got to fight at 147 because he can't make weight. Good look at 147 because he ain't beating nobody. He ain't beating nobody in the ESPN top 10. I'll tell you that right now. So he's going to be given up to somebody as a stepping stone, as a career marker. So he'll probably end up fighting like an Ugas or a Virgil Ortiz, maybe like
Ugas,
Jamal James, Keith Thurman, something like that. Maybe Porter, because Porter turned down the money to fight Crawford, but I think he loses to everyone. And if you look at the ESPN top 10 on 225 2021, Broner loses to everyone at 147.
Yeah. If you lose to everybody in the top 10, does that still make you a gatekeeper or not?
Look, but even that 147 is a deep division, but he is the gatekeeper. I think everyone you meant. I think Jamal James will put up a good fight. I think Jamal James needs to beat someone. He has the one loss to Ugas, but other than that, Jamal James needs to make a name for himself. If you can beat Broner, now people will start talking about you something. But Jamal James from Minneapolis, where we are, needs to get his name out there again. I do want to mention before we move on, we can keep talking about this, but before we move on, the judges' scorecards were wrong on this one. They had Broner winning by a landslide. It was not a landslide victory. It was very close. So yeah, the judges really screwed this one up. I think one judge had it 115, 112, which is pretty close, but I even think it was closer than that. It was probably 6-6 with Santiago being docked 1 point for the late punch.
I had an 8-4 Santiago, with Santiago losing a point down to 7-4 is what I had it at. That I've watched it twice now, and I've scored it both times. And I respect your opinion. I love your opinion, Rich. I just don't see where you see Broner winning that fight. I just don't see it. Broner looked washed up. It looked like he hasn't been in the ring in a long time. He didn't throw that. He got outpunched a lot and outlanded a lot.
But don't forget, it's effective punching. You can land all the punches you want, but if they're not effective, it doesn't even matter. So kids, just keep that in mind. But yeah, I agree. Like the numbers, almost everything across the board says that Santiago won the fight. And pretty soon we're going to be
take the names away. Yeah, take the Adrian Broner name and just these two guys. They're nameless. I think Broner only wins that fight because he's Adrian Broner.
I don't think so. I think we're going to talk about this here in a minute, but Oscar Valdez was on his back foot and he was moving, slicking, ducking, whatever you want to call it. And that's what Broner was doing this fight. He was moving a lot. He was moving away. He controlled the ring.
But you had the power that Valdez had.
You don't need, it's not about the power. It's just effective punching. And Broner put in work. I think he barely won that fight. It's not the landslide the judges said. And I know Twitter, even he said 90% of Twitter don't like me. So F Twitter and F Steve Farhood, all this other stuff. But there are some people on Twitter who Had Broner winning, but I keep it to myself.
I respectfully disagree. Respectfully.
I disrespectfully disagree. I'll drink to that.
Yeah, you're gonna drink to that? Oh, well, sorry. What'd you say? What you do? What now? Did he? I can't. Can you hear him, Judge? I can't hear him.
What?
Apparently, he must be one of them judges that voted for Santiago because he became silent and they just. Oh no, you didn't. And you brought up Jamal James. You better knock out Broner because I think that looking at that with the Mayweather judging there, he's got the Mayweather behind him judging, and that's you're gonna have to knock him out to beat him. Because that's a tough advantage to go over. It's the old WWE approach. I don't know.
Well, I know Jamal James has few of his fights have been at the Armory, so he'll have a home field advantage if they choose to bring that fight here.
Broner's not coming to the Armory. They'd fight that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They're not going to have Mayweather and Broner come to the Armory. It's just not going to happen. It'll be MGM or whatever it's going to be. All right, let's move on to the really fun fight. I'm sorry if anybody lost their mortgage on this one, but if it makes you feel better, I did lose a pretty penny on this one. None of us saw this coming out of Valdez. Valdez was some amazing power on Berchelt. Berchelt looked stunned. I don't know how they didn't call it in the fourth round when he looked like me at 3 a.m. out of the bar. Couldn't stand, couldn't walk. I don't know how they didn't stop that fight because you could tell he was messed up. Like his legs were wobbly. He didn't know where he was. And Valdez, that very, very well done fight. I did want to point out I did get the knockout in the 10th right. I just didn't have the right fighter, but I did get half of it right, 2/3 of it right, the round and the result, just not the fighter. Just toot my own horn there. Judge, I watched this over at your house there after going fishing with you. That was an amazing thing to watch. What did you see? I told you what I saw.
Yes.
Okay, good talk, good analysis.
Well, give me a second, man. You haven't stopped talking for like 2.5 minutes. All right. So, my fight. All right, look. Berchelt Valdez. All right. I got to touch on this because you just said that Adrian Broner looked as good as Valdez did. Wrong.
No, I didn't say
Wrong.
that.
You said he was slipping just like Valdez. No.
Yeah, he was.
No.
What do you mean, no? Yeah, he was.
That's what I said. I said no. No means no. Remember that. No means no. Anyway,
go on.
Look.
Explain yourself.
Valdez looked head over heels better than I thought he was going to. Berchelt didn't either. This was attributed to Berchelt just not being Berchelt. Like he was either too rusty or Valdez just upped his game huge. But I mean, man, that was wicked. That was super wicked. So let me say this. There was one thing that I noticed when I was watching this fight, that Valdez, what he was doing throughout the fight, he was timing
like
everything perfect. No, not looking like Broner.
Yeah, basically, looking like Broner.
He was timing everything perfect. Like you couldn't have done that much better against Berchelt. But what I found interesting when I was watching this fight was that I saw that Valdez, he was never looking at Berchelt's face. He was always looking at Berchelt's hands. He never once looked up from Berchelt's chest, which was crazy because he didn't pay attention to any eyes, any hips. He watched Berchelt's fists. That was it. And then he would move and dodge from that, from evaluating that. And he did it just fantastic. What was super weird, like Raider touched at the beginning, was that shot in the fourth that it was, I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this, you can't really see me, but it was behind. So it was like level with the ear, but behind the ear, not the back of the head, but like the side. I don't know, like 45.
Kind of
right?
where
Like,
Kennedy got shot.
Thanks, doctors.
Like super
Dr.
right.
Dr. James and Raider over here.
Back
hey man,
into the left.
do you hear me saying like my technical terms? I'm saying, oh, you go behind the ear and it's like the spot.
Cabeza. Just call it the cabeza.
Either way, that shot discombobulated Berchelt big time. The same shot happened to Jason Velez in the undercard with Gabriel Flores hitting him in the same spot and did almost the exact same thing. Got that stanky leg going where nobody could walk up and I don't know what was going on with
stop
any of
that in the fourth. I have no idea.
I don't know. Either way, like this was awesome for Valdez. Like he that was impressive. I'll give him credit. I hope to see a rematch to see if that happens again. But this was, man, I saw some just flashes of some fantastic boxing. Like Valdez is up and coming, man. Like Berchelt ain't old, but
29.
man, this is
He's 29 in Cuban years.
Valdez. He's Mexican, and Valdez is man. That's just, I can't wait to watch this guy. I hope they fight again. I hope this is a 2 for sure.
Well, let me ask you guys this: is that the knockout of the year right away, or is that even the knockout of 2020? There, would that beat all the knockouts of 2020?
That's the knockout of the year for me so far. Because that was,
Would it beat all the knockouts in 2020?
I don't know.
That was brutal. That was one of the most,
I don't know, man,
ones I've ever seen.
The Berchelt other fight where they had the 8 knockdowns between the two, that probably, I don't think
Or
that
the Dillian White.
No,
White getting knocked out.
That was a fight of the year. The knockout of the year was Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz.
Ooh, so what's
I
it
don't
better
know.
than that?
Berchelt went right into a coma. It looked like he was looked like he was having a stroke.
Yeah, but so did Santa Cruz went to
So did
sleep
Santa
too, man. They
Cruz,
gave him
yeah.
a blanket and a
And
little.
don't forget Jason Rosario convulsing after getting a shot to the ribs. So there's a lot of knockouts. I don't want to compare knockouts from one year to the next.
That was a scary knockout. We could say that, right?
But let this have its moment. Let it be at least knockout of the month. And so far, yes, knockout of the year, definitely.
Well, that was a scary knockout too. I mean, if Berchelt would have been, he didn't move for a good 2 minutes there. We sat there and I couldn't believe he's not moving. And I was thinking, if he's seriously hurt or dies in the ring, that referee is going to hate it for the rest of his life that he didn't stop that one in the 4th round, because he was obviously concussed in the 4th round. He couldn't. His legs were not working, even in the 5th round. His legs still weren't working yet. So.
Yeah, this is the same. That was like the same sort of shot that Marquez hit Pacquiao with, and Pacquiao just dropped. It was like the same sort of hooping right in the face and just boom, done, man. Like,
but when did he hit him?
What, in the 10th?
Marquez?
No. This fight.
He got him in the 10th.
We knocked him out
in the 10th. When in the 10th?
Oh, I don't know the time. Are you about to drop something on me right now?
At the bell. It was right at the bell. You don't remember that? Right before the bell rang, Berchelt's bell rang.
I don't remember.
It was right at the.
I felt like it was in the middle of the round.
No, it wasn't.
Because it was right after he got knocked down and he got back up. And then,
yeah, I'll have to go back and check it, man. But if you're
it was at the bell.
I know in the 4th round he barely beat the bell getting back up.
I don't think he went down in the 4th.
259.
Yeah, he went down in the 4th.
It was right. It was They asked Berchelt, what was the last thing you remember? They were like, he probably said, "Oh, I heard a bell." Yeah, your bell got rang, and there were bells. It was all over the place.
Down in the 4th. I know he went down in the 4th.
He went down in the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't. He didn't go down. He went.
Yeah, he didn't go
fell
down.
He fell into the ropes, and they called it a down
because
he
was a knockdown and
was saved by the ropes.
But his legs never recovered. Like he couldn't walk.
Let me jump in here. First thing we're taking away from this: Eddie Reynosa is trainer of the year. That's gonna go without question.
That's a little early.
No, he is trainer of the year. Valdez shouldn't have won this fight. Here's why else he won this fight. Does that make sense? Why else?
I'll give it.
Berchelt doesn't belong here. Berchelt was weight drained. Had this show happened after the weigh-in, there was all kinds of red flags. After that weigh-in, when Valdez was just casually drinking some water, they showed Berchelt going to town on food. That dude weighed in at 130, and come fight night, he was up to 140, 6 or something?
He was a big guy on fight.
That dude was weight drained. He was not ready for this fight. We talk about, I took some notes here while you were talking about that 4th round and the wobbly legs and stuff. Reminded me a lot when Kovalev fought Eleider Alvarez. When he went down, he got up right away, started fighting, got knocked down 2 more times, and that was all she wrote. With Berchelt, he should have just went down, taken a knee, waited for the 8 count, got back up, and maybe his legs would have been better. Who knows? That's all in hindsight because come 5th round, he was still wobbly that
Yeah,
entire
he was in
fight.
bad shape.
It wasn't until, and this is a title fight with 2 Mexican warriors. You don't call a fight in the 4th round, and no one would be blamed on, because I thought there might have been a death in that fight too. It was the first minute of the 10th round is when I sat up in my couch and said, call the fight. It's over. At
Yeah.
this point, it was over. And sure enough, at the bell, at the end of that 10th round, that was it. They rolled him over. That scared me a bit. I thought he was done. His chest was not going up and down as if he was breathing, but I think Berchelt was just weight drained for this fight. He doesn't belong at 130 anymore. If you guys need to cover anything else before I move on here.
Well, no, I want to ask you what's next for both of these fighters. I mean, where does Berchelt go from here after a devastating knockout like that? Does he move up? And I think he's got to move up in weight.
Yeah.
And what does this say about Valdez? Is this his coming out party, or is this a flash in the pan kind of fight? I was very impressed by Valdez. I was. I thought for being a guy with such a big reach disadvantage in that fight, he's an undefeated fighter, but he had a 6.5-inch reach disadvantage. But his jab was on point that whole fight. His jab, Berchelt couldn't stop the jab. Valdez, having a 6-inch reach disadvantage, was working the jab a lot better than Berchelt ever could in that fight. So I want to know what's next for both of these guys. Berchelt, after getting his second W here or second loss, as I told James during the fight, though, once Berchelt makes it through the first round, he's undefeated. He's only got that one loss in the first round. Once he goes through round 1, he's undefeated. But until then. Where do they both go from here, Rich?
So Berchelt needs to get out of this division. He doesn't belong there, and I only say that because after making weight, he went to the buffet table. He does not belong here anymore. It's time to move up. If there's a way, there's not even a point in getting a rematch with Valdez. You may as well move up. There's probably more money at 135 with some easy fights to make here, or like Lomachenko. Lomachenko's with ESPN, Berchelt's with ESPN. That would do big numbers. Lopez, I don't think he's with Triller forever. He's a 3.5-year contract left with Top Rank in ESPN. There's a fight for you. Richard Comey is another fight he could take. Comey had a victory not too long ago. I think Berchelt Comey would do like big numbers. Jorge Linares, I believe last time we saw him, he was on ESPN, and I think Berchelt can beat him at 135, including another guy, Luke Campbell. There's plenty of fights to be made at 135 with Berchelt, and I think he can still be a boogeyman in the division, just not at 130. He's got to move to light. I think it's time for him to move to lightweight, and he probably should have not taken this Valdez fight and just went to 135.
He's got to take a recovery fight after this one too.
And I think like a Luke Campbell fight would make sense. I think he can beat Luke Campbell. I think he could beat Linares.
He can't jump to Lomachenko. I can't see that.
Well, Lomachenko's coming off a loss too. If there's a time to get Lomachenko, it's after a loss. Lopez on top of the world. That's where the money is, but Lopez has other plans right now. And who knows if Lopez really wants to stay at 135. Maybe he does move up to 140 soon here. But again, Comey's another guy on ESPN you can go after. I think Berchelt can win a lot of these fights. As far as Valdez goes, you fight Berchelt again at 130. I think that's an easy victory at this point. Most times where fights they don't go to a rubber match. Usually it's you knock them out once. You usually knock them out earlier the second time. So, but that might do big numbers. That might be a big payday for both them guys, where it might be in both their financial interests to take this fight. Stevenson is probably going to rule this 130 division. If he takes a Stevenson fight, I look to Stevenson to beat Valdez. But don't mortgage your house on this one. Don't bet the mortgage on this one. Tevin Farmer is a guy who always looks for fights. He's looking for like 5 fights a year. Last time we saw him, I believe he was on DAZN, but I think he can make a fight happen on any network. Tevin Farmer likes to fight. He's looking for anything, and Oscar Valdez would be a good fight. I think they're evenly matched. Jamel Herring was just supposed to fight Carl Frampton. I think Frampton pulled out of that fight with is he the one with the broken hand right now? So Herring's probably looking for a fight in a few months. If Valdez wants to go after Jamel Herring, that one would make sense. Couple other guys at 130 that probably aren't going to happen. Tank Davis, Chris Colbert, and if Leo Santa Cruz stays at 130. Those are some other big names in that division, but those last three, I don't think those fights happen unless Triller gets involved and outbids everyone.
Judge, we got to move on here, but if you have a quick comment about Berchelt and Valdez's next stop.
Nope.
Okay, good talk. Another smash and diamond. Good dynamite drop in there, James.
We ain't taking 35 minutes on that one, man. Let's go. Let's move on.
Broadcasting school's really paying off.
Just keep the show moving. Whoop, whoop.
All right.
Choo choo.
Broadcasting school?
Well, I guess I'll hit the bell for Brews and Previews. All right, Brews and Previews, where we preview the upcoming fight for this weekend, and there's only one big fight to talk about. It's Canelo versus Gildrum, who Gildrum says he should be favored in that fight, which is pretty funny. Canelo at a minus 5,500. You can bet your mortgage on that one that Canelo's going to win that fight, minus 5,500, which means you have to lay 5,500 to win 100. So, yeah, good luck if you want to have that kind of money to make $100. But let's touch on this real fast. How bad does Canelo beat Gildrum? And when he beats him very early, does he get another fight in like a month or two? Judge, we'll start with you since you haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, he already has a fight. He already has a fight lined up with Billy Joe in May. It's already lined up. So he's going to fight this guy, and then he's going to move on. Yeah, it's going to be quick. I don't think Gildrum has any stake in this. Obviously, he's a fighter, so he's going to talk his game. But the fact that he's saying that he's he shouldn't be the underdog is just laughable, which is why I'm laughing right now. I'm seeing you two laughing. Probably because I'm laughing. It's a joke. Anyway, either way, his last fight.
As much chance as you do against Canelo.
Gildrum's last fight was against Anthony Durrell. All right, he lost a technical decision at the Minneapolis Armory. If y'all didn't know that one, interesting fact. But he has no shot. If he can't beat Durrell, he's not going to beat Alvarez. I mean, he couldn't even beat Eubank Jr. He's not going to beat Alvarez. There's no shot. Like, he has no shot. It's going to be fourth round. Probably fourth round. Be quick. He's going to go back to Turkey, cry himself to sleep on his big old pillow, something like that. I don't know, man.
Cash is checked.
This is a joke. Yeah, I don't know what he's making, but yeah, this is going to be nothing. Because this is just a sparring session for Canelo, and he's just making some money while doing it. That's all I got for that.
Basically a televised sparring session before he beats up on Billy Joe Saunders. What do you think, Filthy Rich?
Yeah, I think this
Gildrum has a chance in this fight.
I mean,
do it, can you?
how,
maybe Canelo slips on a banana peel on the way and twists his ankle.
Yeah, I don't know who beats Canelo. I don't know who beats Canelo at 168. It ain't this
Andre
dude.
Ward?
I do. I know.
Andre Ward?
Father Time.
Yeah, at some point, but like nobody beats this dude. He needs to like probably move up to 175, which he claims he's not going to do. But nobody's beaten Canelo at 168. I can't. I know Eddie Hearn has recently said that Billy Joe Saunders is going to be the toughest opponent Canelo's going to face at 168. I mean, and he's probably, I believe that, I think he's right. There's no one else at 168 to put up a fight with Canelo. Nobody moves like Billy Joe Saunders. But Gildrum, I haven't seen the guy fight. I think I'm pretty sure there's sparring buddies. We know how that plays out. They know each other pretty well. Canelo knows what he's doing going into this fight. I've already anointed Eddie Reynosa as the trainer of the year. Here's his gold mine. This is, maybe it goes 12 because Canelo wants it to go 12, but if Canelo wants it to end in 4, it's going to end in 4. Canelo wins.
All right. Final predictions on Canelo Gildrum. Filthy Rich, we'll start with you.
Canelo by unanimous decision.
Judge?
4th round knockout.
I had a 4th round knockout, so I have to change it. I'm going to change mine to a 5th round knockout then. Now Canelo, I had 4th round knockout written down.
I'm going to change mine.
Well, you're not changing yours because you said it first. We'll go with Canelo in the 5th. So If it goes in the fourth, I'll say, well, I was going to choose that.
You get no credit. I get the credit.
Fine. If it goes in the
Let's
fifth,
move
then
on.
you got to give me credit then and not say, well, you were going to choose the fourth.
Nope. Let's move on.
All right. So we all say bet your mortgage on Canelo and win $20, I guess, if you bet your mortgage on it. So, well, at least we get to see Canelo fight. And it wouldn't be a show if we didn't talk about Canelo at some point. So, good luck, Gildrum. Maybe Canelo will get sick or something. Maybe he had some bad shrimp the night before or something. Who knows? Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us home?
Yeah, so what? Few big fights in boxing history on this day. Nigel Benn versus Gerald McClellan was on this day. Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno was on this day. But the most popular fight that happened 57 years ago, trash-talking Cassius Clay shook up the world when he beat Sonny Liston. Want to say happy birthday to friend of the show, Matt, you know who you are, and to the inspiration of the world, Dr. Jane Goodall. Happy birthday. I'll drink to you guys.
Wait a minute. He went from former acquaintance to now friend of the show just as his
Friend
birthday?
of the show. Friend of the show. My friend of the show who's going to call me when he sees this late at night. And I'm going to hang up on him.
Oh, he must owe you money, huh? All right. Well done.
I'm sleeping.
Judge, if they're watching us, where can they listen to us? And if they're listening to us, where can they watch us?
I say that every time. If you're watching us,
Setting you up. It's called setting the pins up and you knock them down.
no, it's confusing. If you're listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube at YouTube.com/Raider Live. If you're
forget the
watching us, you can listen to us on any of the major podcast sites. So that's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Alexa, Google, Stitcher, Deezer, Podchaser.
Didn't we join like two
Going
new
down the
ones
list.
too this week too?
We're on a bunch, man. We're on like 27. You want to listen to us? You just answer it. Just type it in anywhere you get the podcast, Brews and Boxing. Listen to us.
Chances are we're on there and you see our beautiful faces.
Or listen to this sexy voice.
And their sweet, velvety, sexy voice. All right. For Filthy Rich and Judge Jimmy James, I am Raider Live. Thank you all very much for watching us. We're almost through this darkness that is COVID. It's right around the corner. Get your vaccination when you can. Watch some fights this weekend. Watch Canelo. If you haven't watched the fights we talked about, go back and watch them. I'm sure you can find them on YouTube. And until then, next week we'll have it's going to be the first show of the month. So we will be doing middleweights next week, our combined list middleweights. So look forward to that. And I think we all know who's going to be on top. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to have some discussions on the rules, but we'll get there. We'll see how I ruin the list like I do every time. All right, for both of these guys, I'm Raider Live once again. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.